I want you all to think back to 2008, to the global financial crash, which economists have called the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression in the 1930s. We all know that millions of people lost their jobs, that families lost their homes, and that billion-dollar financial firms, such as the Lehman Brothers, filed for bankruptcy protection. It was the largest filing in U.S. history. They had to sell the very signs off their buildings to pay their creditors. So economists have many different ideas as to why this crash occurred, but boiling it down to the basics, most of them agree that just too many risky investments were made. But as a sociologist, I want to know, who are these people making these risky investments? And even more importantly, what were their cultural motivations for doing so? So looking at this literature, we know that the vast majority of financial firms are male-dominated, meaning most of their workers are men. And we know from occupations that are male-dominated that research has been done on them that shows us that they tend to have what sociologists call a culture of risk. And what this means is that so-called macho behaviors, such as being overly autonomous or taking unnecessary and irresponsible risks, are often rewarded and accepted. Other research tells us that women tend to be more fiscally responsible, more risk-averse, and more respectful of industry regulations than men. Taken together, this has led some to ask, what if the Lehman Brothers had been the Lehman sisters? Meaning, what if more women were hired into financial firms such as the Lehman Brothers, especially within top positions? Would more responsible financial risks have been taken? My dissertation formally tests this hypothesis by looking at whether financial firms who have more women employed within them have fewer criminal financial violations. In addition to this quantitative research, I am also interviewing men and women within financial firms to ask them how and if a culture of risk exists, and whether women really are more risk-averse than men. If this hypothesis is supported, there are two important implications. First, women may be hired into these well-paid, traditionally sex-segregated jobs more often, which could pave the way for greater gender equity. Secondly, if they are hired into these financial firms more often, and they prove to be more fiscally responsible, there's the potential to create more stable economic markets. Maybe one day, when we walk down the Bay Streets and Wall Streets of the world, in the place of the long-gone Lehman Brothers, instead we'll see the Lehman sisters. Thank you.